Hello everyone, I'm just gonna jump straight into this one, no intro or anything. The public transport system in America is in no feasible manner acceptable. I know this isn't anything new, everyone's heard the horror stories of the New York subway system, where horrified onlookers watch as a homeless man pees himself then stabs a businessman minding his own business because he thought that he robbed him of his terrible subway sandwich made from the shiniest meat on the planet. Notice I use the vague term meat, because there isn't a feasible universe where some poor subway employee can look me in the eyes and say that this piece of blooming horse ankle is actually turkey without having to mime quotes with his hands, so that they don't technically violate the Food and Safety Act. That got derailed really quickly, you get it though. The subway system in New York sucks, but it's not just the subway, it's everywhere, especially in buses. And don't even get me started on trains as a form of transport for people. Those things are more defunct than the Ouya. They can both run Skyrim though. Okay, but why do I feel the need to make this video? I just need to blow off some steam, because the ferocity with which the bus drivers and their mythical managers use to deliver insane blows to the psyche of anyone who makes the mistake of stepping onto an American bus has directly impacted me, personally. And honestly, isn't that horrible? Like, it's one thing to do it to other people, but me, of all people? My experience with the buses where I live started about a year ago. I often had to walk over 30 minutes to and from my school, so my fragile little legs gave me an epiphany. Huzzah, I thought. I could just take the bus. I, in all my hubris, thought I could use the public resources available to me in order to save my legs the trouble and me the time during my daily commute to school. Boy, was I wrong. How about I start with the simple fact that the bus almost never comes when it says it will on the application specifically meant to tell you when the bus is coming. So on my first day, the bus came about 5 minutes early, causing me to miss the bus. How do I know how early the bus was? Well, that's because I got there 4 minutes early and watched it take off without me. At this point, I thought, oh well, it's only natural that there would be delays or sped up schedules, you know? You can't expect it to be perfect, so I decided to rough it out and be a little late to school. After school, I wait at the bus stop. This time I will surely catch the bus, I thought. And I was correct to think so. In fact, I caught 2 buses, because I was waiting there for over 15 minutes thinking that I had missed the first bus. But no, it was delayed by over 15 minutes. And I saw a double rainbow of public transit, 2 buses arriving at basically the same time on the same route. This was a bad omen. A few weeks went by and I went on like normal, sometimes deciding it wasn't worth the hassle to catch the bus, and I realized that I wasn't wrong to think so, at least some of the time. This fateful day when I decided to take it easy and wait for the bus, I was surely not expecting what the bus driver told everyone on that bus. Ahem. If you want me to stop this bus, I want you to ask me personally. What is this dude on about? Most people on the bus thought. But oh no, not me. I didn't hear him say this because I was blasting either The Chauffeur by Deftones or anything from the Guilty Gear soundtrack on my earbuds. Man, those are both awesome. So naturally I was a little confused when the bus driver hadn't really made any stops on our way there. And as we hit my stop, I hear everyone yelling at the bus driver to stop, and that they missed their stop like 4 stops ago. And finally, after a minute or two, the bus driver decides to give in to these unreasonable demands and lets the bus full of children off more than a mile away from where they should be. Luckily for me though, I was only a brisk 25-minute walk away from my home. An experience like that made me a little hesitant to get on the bus again, but every now and then a situation arises in which you need to back down on a stance you've taken. This came to me in the form of, okay, I didn't actually have to take the bus this day, but I was awful tired, because I was running on about 3 hours of sleep from the previous night, so hey, you can't blame me for wanting to find a quicker way home even if it seems like an abhorrent decision. And a dreadful decision it turned out to be. When I got on the bus, it was basically packed, and I got the last seat available. But I noticed 4 more people get on the bus right after I took my seat. 3 people around my age and an old lady with her walker trailing behind them. Being the good Samaritan I am, I stood up and allowed the lady to take my seat. I know, hold your applause for the simple act of courtesy I showed the woman who would probably break her femur bone on any minor turn that the bus would have taken. But the bus driver didn't seem to share the sentiment that most would. He walked over to the 4 of us who were standing up holding onto the strings meant to be used for the people who are standing, you know? The little contraptions placed there in case there was not enough seating on the bus. Yeah, those wacky little things. This man walked straight up to us, looked me directly in the eyes, and without a hint of humorous intention shown on his face, without even a minuscule change of inflection in his voice, while looking me straight in the eyes, this man said, "No standees on the bus." What does that mean? But being the confrontation adverse and social anxiety riddled guy I am, I just walked off the bus without saying a word. And luckily for me, my aunt happened to be passing by around that time and offered me a ride home. And me and my blahaj took a nice and short 6-hour nap. The next chronicle of my story begins around the time Pokemon Violet came out. I had just recently gained access to a Nintendo Switch, so I was excited to get the new Pokemon game and have a little fun with it. And let me tell you, whatever enjoyment I got out of that game was not worth what I went through that day. I was going to GameStop in order to purchase this video game. To begin with, the bus was late, typical. But what I also noticed was that the bus driver seemed a little irritated for some reason. And hey man, we all have days like that, but I have no idea what this man was going through that day because he kicked everyone off that bus, which I'm like 90% sure is either illegal or at least something that can definitely get you fired from a job where your main purpose is to take passengers as far as they need to go. At this point, I'm at a crossroads, both literally and metaphorically. I could either turn back and walk about 30 minutes to get back to my house, or I could bite the bullet and walk 15 minutes to GameStop. The path to my right didn't really matter. I had no business down there. I think it was a residential neighborhood or something. About 5 minutes into my walk, I feel a small drop of water hit the top of my long flowing hair, so I looked up. It had started to rain. And at this point, I decided it would probably be a good idea to let my family know that I am safe. I also shot my friends a short text saying, "Dang, it's raining out here right now." Honestly, they were a lot more worried about me than my sister, who just said, "Alright, see you later then." So, thanks to my buddies for worrying. Smooches. So, yeah, I'm basically drenched at this point. The GameStop employee must have been a little frightened when a guy with long drenched hair walked into the store looking like he was about to pass out. But I was able to safely secure my purchase without the police getting called, and luckily for me, the rain stopped right as I was leaving for the bus again. Unluckily for me, I missed my bus by about a minute, so I had to wait 30 minutes for the next bus, plus another 15 minutes because the bus was late. It was dark by the time I got back. I was able to get my Pokemon game though, so I got something out of it. I also couldn't go to school the next day because I got a cold. There was an extended period of time where I didn't really need to use the bus. I had just been walking to and from school, and eventually summer started, so I didn't need to go out as much. The next chronicle of my story starts a little after I started school again at a new school that was a little out of the way, but hey, what can you do? Me and a few of my friends decided it would be fun to go to Applebee's for the all-you-can-eat boneless wings. I had ordered the Parmesan, which, much to my dismay, those Parmesan wings tasted like trash. I don't really have much else to say about it. Those wings taste like an unwashed rag used to wipe coolant off your car's engine. That's not where the story is though. The story begins after we had our fun at Applebee's. Whatever fun 5 underage kids are able to have at what's basically a bar with half-cooked food they serve the drunk middle-aged stomachs to keep them there longer. My friend had to drop me off around the school. Lucky for me though, the bus is coming soon. Or so we thought. I waited for around 30 minutes before I decided to walk closer to the school so I could connect to the Wi-Fi and see what's going on. Mind you, I did not have service during this whole ordeal. Come to find out that the buses are canceled for the night, so I have to make a nice and affable stroll, which took me a measly hour and 10 minutes to finish. That was the day I came up with the bus driver's nickname, the Busmaster, which they shall be referred to as henceforth. At this point, it's clear that I am not in the busmaster's good graces, but I kinda have to use the bus every now and then, so I have to find a way to get along with them somehow. My friend, however, was not privy to this information. We were heading somewhere in my friend's car, so naturally we felt safe in our own little bubble. But my friend felt a little too comfortable, and made a slightly snide remark towards the busmaster, which he thought would never be heard. And not 5 minutes later, his tire just pops. Busmaster must have deployed the spike trap or something. Okay, maybe that had less to do with the public transit and more to do with lackluster care of one's vehicle, but come on, isn't that crazy? I wish I could say that the reason I told that story is because I don't have any more stories about the busmaster doing something uncalled for, but unfortunately, no. I am just going in chronological order. My next run-in with the busmaster happened on my way to school. This particular day seemed to be a rough day for the bus master because he was just honking and honking at any form of a traffic stop in front of him. And eventually, this man just went rogue and took a random left somewhere, which I didn't notice for a while, and I noticed we had gone pretty far in what was basically the opposite direction. I ended up in front of the high school in my area that is basically for the troublemakers the schools don't want to deal with. It looks like an elementary school and can't technically be called a high school, so they call it an education facility. I also saw 2 different teenage moms walk into the school, which spooked me a little. The next day, the bus came a little early, and I almost missed it, but thankfully the goddess of public transportation stopped the bus for me, and I got on the bus without realizing what she had done for me, so I didn't get to say thanks for that. Wait, maybe it's a little mean to call her the goddess of public transportation. Sorry about that if you're listening. Thank you very much. My next experience also happened on my way to school. I had thought that the bus was making some weird movements for a while, and I was completely right, because the bus broke down in the middle of the road. It took about 10 minutes before the bus master opened the door to the bus, walked off, pressed the light for their crosswalk on the street next to us, walks back onto the bus, and it starts working all of a sudden. I don't know what the bus master did, but in the moment it felt like I was living in a simulation. My final story here is a little short. Me and a buddy of mine were sitting on a bench at the mall, and I checked my phone to see if the bus was coming, and it said service will be resuming Tuesday. It was Sunday. Hey, can you take me home? Yeah, sure. So that's about how that one went down. It really just made me a little irritated they cut the bus service off in the middle of the day. To be honest, I didn't really make this video for any reason other than to rant for a little bit, and maybe to raise a little awareness about America's public transit. Some of these were pretty crazy or weird experiences, but to me, I think the worst thing that happened to me is how often the bus is late or too early. I completely understand that traffic sucks sometimes, but to be so drastically late so frequently makes it seem that nobody really cares about how well these things run, even though I feel like it should be an integral part of a city's infrastructure, or at least not so bad that throughout the entire country, if you were to use a bus, the people who know wouldn't have to ask how many homeless drug addicts harassed you on your way to your destination. That should only be happening in San Francisco. Anyway, that's about it for today. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Also, I have Twitter now. Go follow it.